Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So yeah, apologies yet again for not uploading a lot. But anyway, so we're going to be doing Medal of Honor Allied Assault today. Well, the beta anyway. Well, as I will be showing gameplay, I won't be playing it myself, as these are from videos. And also today I'm going to be using a script as well to make sure I go through all the things that I want to say in this video. So back when I was young in the early 2000s, I played a lot of games, but there were 3 games that I remember the most when it came to my childhood. And funny enough, these were all World War II games. There was Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Call of Duty, the original, and Medal of Honor Allied Assault. And with the 3, the most I played was Medal of Honor Allied Assault. And why? Well, to me it was just my childhood, and not only that, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I would play the Omaha Beach mission over and over and over again. And then I'd also have the hardest time in Sniper Town trying to survive against the German snipers. But not only that though, but I also used to watch my dad play on the multiplayer servers using GameSpy. And honestly, it was amazing for my childhood. And though it wasn't until a decade and a half later that I would get into the intrigue of looking into what games were like in their development, and one in particular was Medal of Honor Allied Assault. So from what I can tell, when it comes to diving into the development of Medal of Honor Allied Assault, there are quite a few things to point out. So in this video today, we are going to be seeing the differences in the maps, how the soldiers on the battlefield changed, and also the mechanics that will also change too. So, let's begin. So what to talk about first? Well, for a while now there has been 3 videos that have been up on YouTube that shows the beta of Medal of Honor Allied Assault, showing 3 levels. This is Sniper Town, Omaha Beach, and Bridge. And I want to begin with Omaha Beach as that's the biggest level that we're going to be covering today. I also may have to split this into 2 parts, by the way, so I can cover Omaha Beach with one video and then the last 2 levels with one other video. So either way, Omaha Beach. With the beta footage, we are going to see a lot of things that are different to the retail version, but I will go through all this now. The first thing I really want to point out is what the Allied soldiers are wearing. In this beta footage, I can see that their uniforms that they wear are very similar to the ones you can find on the ones in the final cut, but the ones that are on the final cut wear very clean looking ones, though in the beta footage you can see they're actually more dirty. A fun fact about these models that you see in this beta is that these models are actually used for corpses later on in the final cut of the game. And as you can see, they're the exact same models compared to the ones they are wearing in the beta, so they're pretty much the same models, but they improved the models later on to make them look a little more HD, so to say. Either way, but not only that though, but there are different variations of uniform in the final cut of the game, such as ones for the sergeants, captains, and the privates, then compared to the beta footage that we are looking at. As you can pretty much see, all of them are wearing the same uniform except the captain, which I could imagine could be Captain Ramsey. And also, another thing about the start of this Omaha level as well is that the starting weapon is different. As in the beta footage, we start with the Garand, then compared to the Thompson, where we have in the final cut of the game. On the topic of the weapons in this beta footage, we can see that compared to the final cut, on the beta shows that the weapon is actually not bolted to the side of the screen, and instead it actually has kind of like a little bit more fluid motions when you're looking around and running about. Another odd thing which I find really strange that was scrapped from the final cut is that you were able to use the iron sights with the Garand, which means we could have potentially been able to use them for other weapons, such as a Thompson, shotgun, etc. Though I do know there are mods for this, though I could imagine that there would be iron sights for most of the weapons in the beta part of the game, or the earlier development of the game, which I find kind of annoying that they got rid of it, but it could have been buggy, it might not have worked really well, but who knows. Now, Omaha Beach is already insane and brutal in the final cut of the game, but because the game really puts you into a situation of chaos and destruction. But with this version of the game, on this video, you can see that there are not only more explosions, but there is a larger number of men on the beach. Another thing you will also point out is that the Allied soldiers are also crawling on the beach floor as well, which never happens in the final version of the game, though I have a feeling that this may have been cut due to there maybe being a possibility that it was buggy during development, as you will see that they are slightly buggy. When they do get to the shingles, they kind of poke up off the ground, kind of, like they're kind of in the ground in a way. But from what I can also tell as well, is that the dialogue for the beta footage, dialogue in the beta footage we are looking at is also vastly different as well, with there being more in the beta than compared to the final cut. There are a few examples you will notice that the beta footage has slightly different voice acting also, so I'll show a couple of examples now. Now, as we're on the topic of unused dialogue, there is actually a pack file that you can access by using 7-zip and WinRAR, or any other type of archive tool where you can open up like archived files and whatnot. And basically, this pack file actually contains loads of unused dialogue from not only the Omaha level but other levels also. Here are a few examples for the
20 mils! Take them out now! Pin those Tobruk's! Covering fire! Demolition team, let's take down that roadblock!
Another thing to point out is that not only is there unused dialogue in the missions as well, but there's also unused dialogue for the multiplayer as well, which is really cool. If you want, I could in the description I could probably say how to get to the pack file. It's not that hard, but either way, it's very interesting. Another odd thing to point out is that when you do land on the beach, you are ordered by your captain to help the men get up on the beach, so get up to the shingles pretty much, in the beta footage. Though in the final cut, your only objective is to get off the beach yourself and clear the MG. Hey guys, just to quickly put a post editing kind of thing into this video. Basically what's happened is that there's a bit of black space, so just want to let you know that if you want to check out my main channel, I actually have done a let's play of Men of War Assault Squad. So either way, hope you guys have been enjoying this video.
Get the men up the beach. You lead one side, I'll take the other.
But funny enough, there is 4 objectives that were actually cut from the final game in this level. That is, one of them is to destroy the German artillery pieces at the top of the hill where their bunkers are, and you can actually see these artillery pieces on the final cut of the level with the red pulsating bomb silhouettes, which means that potentially this objective was cut at the very end of development, but it doesn't stop there. In the multiplayer version of the Omaha level, the Allies have to destroy the artillery pieces, so maybe they scrapped it for the multiplayer level. I'm not quite sure, but it's rather interesting nevertheless. But there is dialogue you can find in that pack file I discussed earlier that that actually has voice lines for the certain objective. Now, carrying on with the subject of the cut objective that we were just talking about, not only is there 2 pieces of artillery that you need to destroy, but there's also a fully made service with a few accessible areas and props. It's really odd as to why they would remove it, but either way, it's a really cool find that you can actually find yourself by just going into no clip on the second part of the Omaha Beach mission. Also, funny enough, looking at a Spanish wikia of Medal of Honor Allied Assault that I dug up, which does, by the way, host some amazing information for the beta of Medal of Honor Allied Assault. There are actually 4 objectives that were supposed to be in the Omaha level, these being to destroy the 20mm AA, and to destroy the Flak 88s, destroy the 15cm artillery emplacements, and me up at the rendezvous point. I don't think that is centimeters. I think it might be meters maybe. But either way, so there was a few cut objectives, sorry, that were cut from the Omaha mission. Now, I believe, in my theory, is that maybe these were taken out of the mission because it was possibly being too long. Or maybe there was just not enough development time, like I discussed earlier, with the initial artillery piece objective that you needed to blow up. Also, I noticed one thing which surprised me a lot was that in the beta footage that we are watching, is that you can see that after the Bangalores have blown up, the shingles even, we notice the player actually going prone, which is rather surprising, as this is also cut out in the final cut of the game. But like I said before, the Germans, like enemies, use it. I think your allied soldiers use it as well, but it's a bit buggy on their side. So it's interesting that they would get rid of it for the player. It's like how they got rid of like the fluency of the like weapon moving about and the iron sights and whatnot. There's a lot of very strange development changes for the player, and it's rather interesting, but also at the same time the game still came out quite good. Now moving along, as we get to the part where we get to the trench at the foot of the right hand side bunker, I've noticed that not only is the Grand able to reload in the middle of the clip, which would lead me to believe that the Grand they had in the beta was actually possibly the later version of the M1 Grand, where they actually were able to reload in the middle of a magazine. I believe that's what later versions of the M1 Grand had, because in the earlier versions, like the first version of the M1 Grand, they couldn't. They had to, they had to shoot out a full clip before the ping happened, and then the clip would fly out. But either way, though, it's not in the final cut of the game. You can't reload in the middle of a clip or magazine in your M1 Grand. But another thing that's quite interesting, as in the start of the final cut of the game, you do start with the Thompson, but in this beta footage we see that the Thompson is actually in the trench where the dead Allied soldiers are from being killed by the MG42 gunner, so which is rather cool. So it's rather interesting how some weapon placements are different. Another element to this beta footage that surprised me was the fact that when you do kill the MG42 gunner and make your way up to the staircase in the final game, you go into a loading screen that loads the next part of the Omaha level. But in this beta footage, we notice that there isn't any loading screen, which leads me to believe that the two levels, so the beach level and the bunker level, was actually connected earlier in development and without a loading screen. So also another thing to point out is that the models the Germans use are different compared to the final versions. Yet again, they look more dirtier than the final cut ones. I believe they do use these earlier models of the German uniforms or the German models as dead corpses, as the same as they do with the beta Allied soldiers we see in the beta footage. I'll probably show up an example of the possibly seeing a dead German body that probably has the beta uniform. Now there is also a small difference when it comes to enemy placement as well, as the ladder you go up in the bunker has a German on top of the ladder in the final cut of the game, and as in the beta we see that there isn't a German waiting for us. Now I'm not quite sure if there is more of a differentiation on the NPC placements, but I could imagine there were changes in development. Though on the topic of NPC placements, as we get to the area where the MG42s are firing down at the beach, we see a lot more Allied soldiers running across the beach in this beta footage than in the final cut of the game. Though even though this level of Omaha Beach is somewhat close to its final form in some areas, I've managed to dig up a few screenshots of the Omaha Beach level, but at an earlier stage of development on the GameSpot page. As you can see from this photo, the Allied soldiers are wearing a more yellowish type of uniform, and the beach itself looks a lot more cleaner than it would be later on in development. Another fact about the Allied soldiers you see on this very early version of the Omaha Beach is that these models are yet again used as corpses in the final cut of the game as well. And I think there's only one variation of this model that is used as a corpse, and that's the one where this US soldier is hanging. He's kind of like dangling in a way. But yeah, it's rather interesting to see that they still kept some of the very early models, which is rather interesting. Hey guys, just to let you know that this will be the first part of a two-part series that I'm doing for Medal of Honor Allied Assault in its beta form. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of the Omaha Beach. I hope you liked the new change that I have going for the videos that I'm going to be doing now with a script and whatnot, and there being more, so to say, a better kind of improved quality over being able to talk about the changes and whatnot in a much better detail. Anyway though, hope you guys enjoyed, and comment, like, subscribe, help a lot, and also check out my main channel if you do like let's plays and playthroughs and whatnot. But also stick around for part 2, where we're going to be looking at not only the Sniper Town beta but also the Bridge beta, and also a few other things that I found out whilst researching about the betas and the development for Medal of Honor Allied Assault. But either way, thanks for watching.